You're welcome back, C Sports on Atlantic Television Network. My name, of course, I told you is Kingsley Emmanuel, and I have with me Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good evening to you, and welcome to another exciting edition of Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers. They're always a pleasure to do this with you, Kingsley.
All right, let's quickly take a look at cricket at the moment as Nigeria's senior women's cricket team. The female Yellow Greens are hoping to reignite their campaign at the ongoing Nigerian Cricket Federation Women's T20 Invitational Tournament when they face arch rivals Rwanda in their third game today at the Tafawa Balewa Square over in Lagos. And Michael, it's really been an impressive one so far, especially for these two teams that will be today, talking about the Rwanda side and the Yellow Greens for Team Nigeria. I don't know what you make of this one. The last time, of course, both teams met, the Yellow Greens, of course, were able to take down the Rwanda side. But do you see that repeating as well this time around?
I don't see that happening, but then, because if you take a look at the form of the Rwandan side, they've actually played 2 games so far in this invitational tourney, and they've won 2 of their games, whereas the Yellow Green as well, they've played 2 games. We won our first game and lost the second game. So we expect Rwanda, who is a very, very strong side as well, to be basking under the euphoria of that 2 victory gotten so far, because they are now leading the race, leaving Nigeria and Sierra Leone behind. I certainly know that Nigeria and other countries like that, because there are about 4 countries that is taking part in this one, are sharing the same point, having won 1 and lost 1. So I think for me it's going to be a very difficult one, but not a insurmountable task for the Nigerian out there. I believe they can put everything together. If they can put it together, rather, I see them coasting home a victory against the Rwanda, but then it's not going to be a very easy one. For the only thing that we'll be basking is that we are playing in our own home, in our own soil here. Then you expect the fans or the crowd out there to turn out in their mass and boost the players of the morale by cheering them to victory. But then I just strongly believe that they should do a lot to improve in their every angle of their game, because their last game wasn't that impressive, because they lost their last game, like I said earlier. But then against the Rwandan side, who is a very strong side, I expect them to go all out on and get the needed victory.
The familiar foes have won 2 each for the last 4 editions of the tournament, with Rwanda already in an early lead for this year's title after winning their first 2 games. They beat the best Rwanda tournament on Sunday for showing against Sierra Leone with 10 wickets win on Tuesday. Mahaboris ladies, however, face a tough test in extending their lead as they come up against Nigeria, who beats them by 9 runs in last year's final. Nigeria need others to level up in terms of the number of wins heading to the last round for the features. Can they actually get past them today? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that and see how that one, of course, will pan out. But let's move on now to bring you the latest coming from the police games at the moment. We hear that Inspector Josina Ama of Force Headquarters yesterday won gold and silver medals in the karate event of the ongoing 14th Banner Police Games tagged the Banner Police Game in Ibadan in your state. Ama won gold in the individual category and silver in the team category. Michael, this is another impressive karate championship, of course, we're seeing down there in Ibadan in our stance now. I don't know what you make of the performance of Ama in that particular, in that particular event, of course, we saw.
It was a good one for Ama out there, because I think for me she actually did pretty well. But taking the overall look at this police game is what I'm after. And what are the positives that we should be able to take home after the end of this game is that I believe that the Nigerian Karate Federation is also putting their nose on the ground, talking about their scouts out there to ensure that they are very much on ground in this very one that is taking place far away in Oyo State, to ensure that they get to pick one or two of best players out there, and also give them that platform as well to also showcase their talent to the world. It doesn't just boil down in we organizing this kind of a police game, and at the end of it all, we don't get to harness one or two, good talent out of it. So for me, I'm looking at the long run. What do we intend, or what do we stand to benefit after this police game? That is the angle we should be looking at. And for me, if you ask me, we should look beyond what is happening presently and go down there. And that is why I'm asking that the scouting team of the Karate Federation should be on ground and see things for themselves, because it's better seen than told out there, so that they can be able to know or see of women that is taking part in everyone, so that we can be able to pick one or two of them, incorporate them into the national team, and there we go, so that whenever we are going for any major tournament, there will be rest assured that we have to hand when you talk about karate that is going to represent the country. It shouldn't be one-off thing, or it shouldn't be that this is just an annual thing that we just do. At the end of it all, nothing positive comes out from it. But talking about the performance of Ama, I think it was a wonderful display that every support is given to her financially, morally, and I assure you that she truly won, or that we should look up for in the future.
The later aspects of the African Games said karate was a disciplined sport that helped to keep athletes psychologically and emotionally fit. The chairperson, Nigerian Police Netball Association, Baba Tola, has reaffirmed the commitment of the Nigerian police force to supporting netball as well in the country. Let's start away from that as we take a look at other matters as well in the world sports. As of course, the chief coach of Nigeria's under-18 girls team, Agbola Shitu, has his girls are in high spirits and are certain of victory. Their first game with Gadulupo today in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Michael, how true is the statement of Shitu?
Well, I think for me, looking at the statement of Shitu, it tells you that he truly understands the strength, of his players out there in the camp because before a coach could come out in the public to the media to tell you that he's very, very ready with his team. It therefore means that he has done the necessary touches for his team out there, and he believes in the strength, the quality, the skills and prowess of his players out there, and that is why he's telling us that he's very, very ready to go out there and do Nigerian pride. And if you ask me, we are the defending champion. We are the champion of the African continent. So I think we are still basking under that euphoria. All hope is very, very high, and they started preparation earlier before. For me, I believe with all of this, I really believe that we are going to go out there and just come back with something tangible, not just to go out there and make up the number. Looking at the opponent that we are facing against, I've taken a background check on their players as well and what they've been doing over the years. I think we have upper hand against them. So I believe with the confident level of the coach and the players out there, I strongly believe that they are going to and prove a point to the world.
All right, Nigerian under-18 women's handball team landed at Tashkent Monday to the 2024 IHF Women's Trophy Intercontinental Phase holding between 28th of February and 3rd of March. Shitu told journalists that the team aimed for a win in their first game and that they are ready to showcase their true colors in Uzbekistan. Of course, we hope, they will show their true colors this time around. Let's move on as we'll take a look at other matters, of course, in the world of sports this evening. And we'll take a look at weightlifting on the show as some 24 team Nigeria's weightlifters continue to intensify preparation for the African Games slated for Ghana next month. A top official of the Nigerian Weightlifting Federation told our correspondent that the weightlifters are doing fine in camp in Abuja and are ready to go at the African Games by the time the successful lift coaches in due course. Nigeria will present 12 lifters at the African Games and 6 women in their categories. Michael, what do you make of the preparation for the weightlifters ahead of the All-African Games?
It has been a massive preparation for the weightlifters. And when you are talking about weightlifting, I think this is one of the sports here where we can also always beat our chest and say, yes, we have people that can always go out there and represent Nigeria, and they come back with their head very high, because definitely over the years, when you talk about weightlifting and wrestling, these are our areas of strength. And whenever we head for, all African game, we definitely always rack up, laurels from weightlifting, angle. And for me, if you ask me, I think preparation have started in earnest, and some of the weightlifters, they are in their top gears, they are in the shape, they are in the form of their life. So if they can actually carry this form in this preparatory period down to the All-African game out there in Ghana, I strongly believe that they are going to go out there. Out of the 12 of the weightlifters that is being in the forthcoming game, I think if everything goes to plan, I will assure you that we are going to come back with at least 6 or 7 medals from the weightlifting angle. So I think we are good to go at this point in time.
Good to go, of course, for the Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria. The president of the Nigerian Weightlifting Federation, Dr. Adu Ibrahim, said he is thrilled with the level of preparation now for the weightlifters, and he's looking forward to a fantastic performance at the African Games. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see what the weightlifters, of course, will be able to do at the end of the day. Top preparation, of course, for Team Nigeria ahead of the All-African Games. Keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up from there. But let's move on as to bring all the latest coming from the world of tennis at the moment, as we hear Andy Murray, of course, hopes to compete at another Olympic Games before he retires. The 36-year-old suggested on Monday he may only have a few months left in his playing career. Michael, what do you make of this statement, from Andy Murray?
Well, for me, if you ask me, I think he just want to finish very, very high as well, because looking at his form this season, or this year rather, his form has been very, very bad. He has had a blip of form over the course of, this month. He has played so far this year, losing 6 out of those 8, just winning only 2. And the last 2 weeks ago, he was also humbled, defeated by an 18-year-old player out there, which for me, I think, a feat where you have achieved a whole lot for yourself, talking about Andy Murray, and you have become a household name. Of these, to go and, being rubbish or being rubbed on the mud, I think it's just high time he should just call it a quit. I keep saying this, I said this in and I'm repeating the same thing here, because I've actually taken a look at the form of Andy Murray. This is not the Andy Murray that have followed over the years because of his rise to become what he is in the world of tennis out there. But then I think for me, he seems as though he has passion. He loves this game so much that even when the chips are down to give up, he still want to give it a final shot at the Olympic game. But for me, let's just hope and believe that truly is going to go to the Olympic, and also come out with something positive, so that he will live on a very high note. But for me personally, I'll keep saying, I think quite clear it's very visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that Andy Murray has lost form, and his body, I think, is giving him that sign he can no longer carry out to be at the best in his playing career again. So for me, I just think it's time for him to just take a bow and leave the stage.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes for the man Andy Murray. Let's see what, of course, he will be at the Olympics. But at this point, we'll take a short break, and when we come back from the break, we'll bring you the latest from the Nigerian Football League. Please stay with us.
From life across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. On the happenings around the globe, stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker.
They are not in our court. They made up their
Welcome back, Steve Sports Extraordinary on Television Network, and of course it's time for me to bring you the latest from the Nigerian Premier Football League. We've seen some interesting results in March Day 22 encounter, of course, the midweek fixtures, and I tell you, not really a good result at the moment, you know, for some teams, as I was seeing the likes of, Sunshine Stars. Of course, they bounced back this time around to beat Lobby Stars by 2-0. I tell you, a very dogged performance, of course, you would say, Michael, you know, from Sunshine Stars. Beating Lobby Stars, of course, who are one of at least the top 5 teams, you know, in the table.
An impressive one for Sunshine Stars out there, and this is what we love to see in the NPFL. You know, the race for the title chase this season is always very very tough. We've seen the table toppers. It's almost 2 or 3 points adrift of the people seated in the 5th and 6th position. So it has been a very keenly contested. But then I think it's a massive victory for Sunshine.
Massive victory for Sunshine Stars, and you know, I must always want to give, you know, credit, you know, to one man, Kennedy Boboye. I see him to be a very fantastic manager. Yes, he was with Aqua United about 3 seasons ago, and he won the league with them. Although the second season, of course, things didn't really go down well with him, and he has to part ways with the team. Went down there to Heartland FC, almost, you know, resuscitating the team from relegation, where, you know, the state government was to relieve him of his job. And now he's at Sunshine Stars. Especially lost the second and won the second. Not a very bad start, of course, for a manager like him, you will say.
Not a very bad start, if you ask me. I think Kennedy Boboye is one man who has traversed through the length and breadth of the, you know, NPFL. I think for me, if you ask me, I think he has garnered the experience to be able to pull some team out of relegation over the years. Just like you mentioned, a few weeks ago, he was with Heartland trying to revive and resuscitate them from not going down to the relegation water. But then, due to the interference of the governor of the state, we actually see him being removed and being replaced by their former coach, who continue to churn out the bad result out there. Now that he has moved to Sunshine, playing 3 games, and that 3 games he was supposed to have 9 points out of those 9 points, but he was able to lose 1, 3-1, and 1 out of those games so far, taking 4 points out of the possible, you know, 9 points. I think for me, if you actually continue with this way, you know, it take him time. It must take him time to be able to get familiarized with the players, to know the strengths, you know, of the players as well, and how to deploy them. So I think he has started on a other, you know, challenges. I see him taking a, you know, sunshine very, very far in an appreciable position in the league so far.
That was from Kennedy Warriors men, talking about Sunshine Stars. And so Bayelsa United beating Doma United by 2-0. Another impressive display as well from Bayelsa United. Doma United, for the past 3 or 4 games now, they've been struggling, Michael.
Yes, and it's quite strange, very, very strange for me, for Doma United, who is a very, very strong team. You know, they started very, very strong at the House of Fire this season, alongside the Sporting Lagos as well. But then, at a long run, Sporting Lagos began to lose some grip as well. I guess, you know, playing with some of the big boys in the NPFL League have actually affected their confidence level, and you know, Sporting Lagos is no longer nowhere to be found right now. But for Doma United, a very good job. But of recent, the result is not coming their way. But then, as the coach is still very, very much in control of what is happening over there. And I believe in his next game, he must find a way to turn and start getting the results again.
Enugu Rangers, of course, beat Remo Stars by 1-0, and that's a immediate fixture, of course, we saw this afternoon. Heartland FC of Owerri were beaten 5-1.
So,
what's happening to Heartland is a very disappointing.
Very, very disappointing one, and I know the fans of Heartland right now in Owerri and across the nation will be very, very disappointed with this result. You know, being annihilated, humiliated, dismantled at home by 5-0. I think this is the height of you know, their low performance this season. I think for me, like I said earlier, this is as a result of government interference rather, in football, where you actually don't allow you know, the body that be to control things on their own. When you have one man within the government sphere trying to pilot the affairs of you know, football club in the state, it definitely will affect you negatively. It definitely bounce back on you, and that is what we have seen. We saw a coach that they brought in, and the coach played about 7 games, won 2, lost 1, and by then, I think if you take a look at the table, as at then, they were in the 14th or 15th position, if I'm not mistaken. And if Kennedy Boboyo has stayed put at Heartland, there is no way you can tell me that they will be suffering this kind of defeat this time around. And it's going to serve as a lesson to the management out there, or to the government, to the state government, who interfered with the running of the Heartland Football Club. But in all, Kingsley, I think it's a very disappointing one for Heartland FC this season so far.
Disappointing results, of course, for Heartland. They were beaten by Plateau United 5-1 in that particular encounter. Katsina United against Kano Pillars ended 3-2 in favor of Katsina United. Very interesting, you know, Northern Derby, Michael.
Always a very interesting. Davis, who made the chief operating officer, earlier pointed out in the game where he actually cautioned fans to be peaceful and behave themselves, because always, every year, you always hear of crowd violence when these 2 teams meet each other out there. And of course, they actually release a memo of today's game because of that match, actually asking the authority to cooperate with the, you know, security, so as to ensure that they have a hitch-free game. And of course, 3-2 it ended, and we haven't had any report of any fans hooliganism out there. So for me, I think it's a great one, having seen that you know, there is no crowd trouble, which is often the case with this kind of derby out there.
I think we have to wait first for we to get the March Day 22 review from the Davidson Awami board first, before we could actually conclude if there hooliganism, in this particular one as well. But Sporting Lagos, compound the woe of Akwa United as they beat Akwa United by 2-1 at home. Michael, it's really been an abysmal season for Akwa United.
Truly abysmal season for Akwa United, and for then the Sporting Lagos led Call of 4. I think for me, he's trying to get back his mojo, he's trying to get back his rhythm, trying to bring back that confidence for the club. And they don't forget in their last weekend game, they actually lost that game narrowly. But then I think coming up against his struggling Akwa United, they needed a victory. For me, I think it's a good one for them. But for Akwa United, I don't know what seems to be the problem with Akwa United this season, because when their sister club was relegated, talking about Dakada FC, we thought that all would be okay because every financial effort right now channeled to United, and they've been getting state support over the years financially. And for me, I don't actually know what seems to be the problem. Maybe one of these days we can actually put call across to the media officer of Akwa United so that we can possibly hear from the horse's mouth be with Akwa United this season. Because if you ask me, Akwa United in the last 10 years they've become a no-name in the NPFL league. They've become a traditional team as well. Don't forget, just a couple of years ago they won the league as well. So for me, this is a club that have, built a reputation, or in the map of building a reputation for themselves as one of the best team in Rivers State, in Nigeria. And I also remember the tenure of the just past governor, talking about Don Emmanuel, how Akwa United were, the prime. Were in their prime at that time, where they always get every needed support. I think they were doing very, very great as at them. But this season is a troubled water. I bet you, Kingsley, if they don't improve on their games, I think they are going to go down to the relegation water, which will be very, very bad for Akwa United and Akwa Ibom as a whole.
A very, very struggling moment, of course, for Akwa United as it stands. Michael, after the March Day 22 encounter, talking about the likes of Lobby Stars, still top the group despite the fact that they lost today with 39 points. Plateau United are second, courtesy of that victory against Heartland. Second points now, second in position with 38 points. Enugu Rangers third now, with 30. Remo Stars fourth with 36. Canopy fifth with 36. So now sixth with 36 points. And talking about the relegation struggling teams, Sunshine Stars no longer in that particular zone as they are 15th now in the table with 26 points. Bayelsa United 14th with 27 points. And of course, you talk about the likes of Akwa United, who are seated 18th with 31 points. Gombe United 19th, 31 points. Heartland FC, of course, 20 in the table with 21 points. As it stands, a struggling moment for the likes of Akwa United, Heartland FC, and the question remains, Michael, do you see Akwa United, of course, getting out of relegation at the end of the season?
Yes, of course. I see them beating the drop zone. We have about less than 16 games to go. So they're able to up their game out of this 16.
This is March 32 already.
Yes, so that is why I'm saying we have less than 16 games, to wrap up the season. So I think they can still beat the drop zone only if they can be able to, settle the problem, the issue behind the closed door, because I think certainly something must be wrong somehow, somewhere within the team, and that is why we've seen Akwa United struggle. But I'm sure if they can be able to put all this, in proper perspective of this problem, I tell you, Akwa United, they have as well, that can also help them to come up and run away from that relegation zone. So I think they have what it takes to be able to beat the drop zone if they can be able to work on themselves and settle them to be their challenges for this season. With the games that is remaining, if they can win 10 or possibly 9 out of those remaining 16 or 17 games, I see them staying afloat on the MPFL.
All right, so of course, let's move away from that as we bring you the qualifiers results. Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Now, we talk about the aftermath for that particular encounter between the Super Falcons and the Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon. Michael, the coach of the Super Falcons, Roddy Wardrum, has actually come up to say that he doesn't believe, you actually saw what happened in that game where the Indomitable Lionesses girls actually wanted to go touch the net of the Super Falcons, goal. But they were actually being stopped by the likes of Chiamaka Nodozie and Sister Shola. But they still find a way. And that has actually generated a lot of, controversy in that particular encounter. And after that, the coach of the team talked about Super Falcons. And he came to say that he doesn't believe in, and that brings us to the question, voodoo, does it really work in football?
I do not think so.
Let's get into it first before even. What do you make of that particular action from the Indomitable Lionesses ladies? I don't know what you make of it. What did you deduce from that action?
Well, what I deduce from that action, it seems as though they are still being with the antiquated belief of charm and voodoo and the diabolical accessories, try to use it as a makeshift for them to get a positive result, which for me, if you ask me, I think football have, grown beyond such a, perception where you try to use voodoo or juju or whatever it is called to, be up there when you talk about football. So in all, I think this is an outdated mentality out there, which for me in this generation, nobody or no country should be thinking of such. I mean, make it look as though you are taking Africa backward. What if you get to hear of this? I mean, he's trying to cast a bad line or bad light on Africa as a whole, where we have been noted as people who try to use voodoo to change the course of a game out there. I think for me that is very, very abnormal. Then coming to the issue in particular, do I believe in voodoo? Do I believe in those antiquated belief trying to use a voodoo or charm to influence the outcome of a football match result? I do not think so, because if that thing has anything to show for, I think there are many countries in the world that are very, very known for their all this kind of thing, all these kind of practices, who are not maybe believers of a certain. So for me, they should have used it to also influence, their national team, so that whenever they go out for any football match, they get all the results. But then, what we ask, this, if it's actually working for them as they believe, why didn't they use it in their home ground where we played 1-1? Or do they just want to wait and come to Nigeria before they can unleash their voodoo? So that is a very clear evidence to tell you that that thing holds no water, because if it does, they should have used it in the first leg in their home ground. They couldn't do that. We played a goalless draw. In fact, a goal, what seems to be a clear goal, but disallowed. If you go back and rewatch the tape of that game again, I tell you, the player that scored this same goal in this second leg, talking about Okonkwo, she was the one that scored the same first goal in away at Cameroon out there. So if they believe in the importance of voodoo, why didn't they use it at their home ground to get the result? They had to wait until to come to away ground in our home ground before they tried to use it to influence the outcome of the result. So for me, I don't actually believe in some of those fetish things either, because if it does, they should have been able to get victory in their home ground. We used to hear of a folk tale story in the past that India played against a certain country and they were defeated such country by 100 goals to nothing. And since I was a kid, I listened to that story. Sometimes we tend to believe it, but as time goes on, I had to do some research added to actually discover if it is true or not. I couldn't. So I don't think there's anything called voodoo, in football that's trying to influence the game or try to, because I don't believe it.
All right, so let's see how it goes at this point in time. We hope that we don't continue to see things like this, of course, down here in Africa. But Michael, I tell you, is currently going down there in Italy, talking about the Italian Serie A, as Napoli, of course, they are currently leading against Sassuolo 3-1 in that particular one as it stands. And our man, Victor Osimhen, has 2 goals in that particular scoreline.
Massive one for the defending champion. Talking about the Napoli, and good one for Victor Osimhen. He has scored about 4 goals so far since in his last 3 games since he came back from African Cup of Nations. And Napoli, I tell you, they truly needed this result to also complement themselves on the league out there, because they are seated 9th before now. I don't know the result that they are getting on the table around. For me, they truly needed this result to also douse the tensions of the fans out there, because they've sacked about 2 coaches as well this season so far, and another coach so far. So I think for me, Napoli needed this victory to also to stay on the league, and also not to become one of the poorest teams that have ever won this. But it seems like a problem, short a big problem for them. So I think they need this victory to boost the morale of the players out there.
We'll see interesting fixtures today in the FA Cup, as Chelsea, of course, will be gnashing against Leeds United. Nottingham Forest lock ons against Manchester United. We'll also see the likes of Fulham. They will be in action against Brighton and Hove Albion. Newcastle United will lock ons against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Michael, Chelsea, of course, they are back, as it stands now. I don't know what you make of this this season for them. We saw them lost that's the Carabao Cup, of course, to Liverpool over the weekend, and now they are back, of course, to take down Leeds United. What's the way forward, at this point in time for Chelsea? A lot of problem down there, especially issue of converting chances, and all of that. What do you make of this Chelsea team going forward?
It's very simple. What I make of them going forward is that they should forget about their loss against Liverpool and focus on what lies ahead of them, which is the game against Leeds United today, because the Carabao Cup defeat against Liverpool, it has come and it has gone. There is no way you are going to wind back the hand of time for them to correct that mistake. So the best possible way to respond to critics out there is to get a good result against Leeds United tonight, and I believe the players and coach might have learned their lesson of their failure to convert their chances in the game against Liverpool in the final during the weekend. So the best way to respond to critics out there is to get a convincing result against Leeds United, and try to see if they can put their foot on the pedal and press it so hard and see if they can be able to get to the final of the FA Cup, because that is the only route for them to get to Europe this season. Because realistically speaking, looking at where they find themselves in the EPL table right now, I think it will be very, very difficult to pass through that route and get to Europe. So the shortest and simplest way for them to get through to Europe is making it to the FA Cup final and possibly lifting it. So, like I said, the best possible way for Chelsea to recover and bounce back from their heavy defeats against Liverpool is to put up a good show against Leeds United by winning it.
Liverpool, Southampton. You see Liverpool, of course, continuing their impressive performance as well tonight.
Definitely, there's nothing stopping Liverpool from continuing from where they stop against Chelsea, because they are fighting from all fronts, making sure that they want to send Jurgen Klopp back in the end of this season a good note out there. So I expect Liverpool to get the win against StarTimes this evening.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed, and we can't forget to talk about the man Erling Braut Haaland. Michael, yesterday we saw him, of course, putting up 5 goals, in that encounter we saw yesterday for Manchester City.
Massive display for the Norwegian goal machine out there. Of course, he is the best striker in the EPL, undoubtedly, if you ask me. Scoring 5 goals against Luton is no mean feat, and this is the second time he's doing that. He did that in the Champions League round of 16 against RB Leipzig, last season. So for me, I think it was a massive display from the angle of Manchester City and from the angle of Erling Braut Haaland. And also not forgetting the assist machine, talking about the midfield maestro, Kevin De Bruyne. It's a great result for Manchester City.
All right, sir, at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. We'll be back tomorrow by 9 a.m. To bring you the latest revolving around the world of sport. Promises to be an impressive one. We'll take a look at the issue of Aqua United. What could be the reason for the setback for Aqua United this season in the Nigerian Premier Football League? Victor Osimhen, of course, firing 2 goals already in the first half in that game against Sassuolo. We'll take a look at that performance as well tomorrow on the show. And as well, we look forward to bringing you the results of Chelsea Football Club in that game against Leeds United. So it promises to be an exciting package tomorrow. 9 a.m. of course is the time. Do want to join us, as it promises to be an exciting time, of course, talking sports on Atlantic Television Network. Michael, special time this evening.
Always a pleasure doing this with you, Kingsley.
All right, don't forget, Peace and Unity always the pathways to progress. You can go down to our different social media handle. The conversation continues right there. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.